Hey everybody, it's Trisha here at Anchorhead Farms, where our goal is to help new gardeners grow their own delicious and organic food. So whether you have a small patio in the city, a typical backyard in the suburbs, or a large plot of land in the country, we're here to help. We'll share ideas on how to turn your space into a productive and organic farm, tips to increase your harvest yields, and recipes using the food you've grown. So whether you want to start gardening as a hobby or want to add more nutritious food to your daily meals, you definitely want to start out on the right foot. And that's what we're going to do in this video. Welcome to Anchorhead Farms. This channel actually started on the Nextdoor app as a homesteaders group and a gardening in Houston group. So first I want to say hi to our almost 1,000 Nextdoor members who have been so supportive of this gardening adventure. It has been so great sharing experiences and cultivating new friendships. Speaking of cultivating, let's cultivate that like button and subscribe to our channel. Feel free to leave a comment or submit a question for us to answer in future videos. We'd love to hear from you. One of the questions I get asked the most is how to start a garden in our very long and very hot Houston climate. In terms of growing seasons, we're actually pretty lucky. We have a longer growing season than most parts of the country, since we basically only have 2 seasons here, spring and sweltering. I'm kidding, of course. We also get 1 week of winter where our state's power goes out completely. Now, I didn't start gardening until I was already in my late 40s, and I had zero experience, so I made a lot of mistakes. But those who say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, well, that's just not true. So I learned a lot that first year, and I'm still learning something new every day. But in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to go over my 5 top tips on how to start your own very successful veggie garden. Number 1, create a wish list. When choosing what to grow, look at where you spend your produce dollars and think about what you really like to eat. I love to cook with fresh herbs, but they're really pricey at the store, so that was definitely going on my wish list. But don't be afraid to try something new, too. Before I started gardening, I was not a kale fan. I used it in soup now and then, but that was pretty much it, and I didn't like the taste of it raw at all. Now, when I went to go buy my seeds, the packet of curly kale looked interesting, so I decided to give it a try. I was really surprised. Homegrown kale tastes nothing like the grocery store kale, and it tastes just as good raw as it does cooked. Turns out, kale is one of the easiest things to grow, and it grows year-round here, too. So now it's one of my favorite vegetables in my garden. Not bad for something that I didn't want in my garden at all. Now that you know what you want to grow, let's think about time. This is really important here, and it's really important to be honest with yourself. Starting a few containers full of herbs is going to be a lot different than starting a few raised beds full of 5 or 6 different vegetables with different pest needs, watering needs, nutrient needs, and all that stuff. And we want that first year to be as enjoyable and more like a learning experience about your microclimate. So let's not take on too much at once. Let's keep it easy, keep it simple, and keep it fun. Now that you've picked your vegetables and you know how much time you have, let's take a look at those seed packets. The back of seed packets tell you just about everything you need to know. How deep to plant, how much space it needs, and how much sun it will require. Which leads us to our next important tip for success. Most plants are going to need at least 6 hours of sun to grow really, really well. So now we need to figure out where the best spot is in your space for that to happen. Now there's 2 ways that we can track the sun, and both are really pretty easy. Number 1, go out into your space and look at where the sun is hitting at around 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. Here's a time-lapse video of a portion of my garden to give you an idea what I'm talking about. Notice that bed on the right gets early morning sun, but then it gets plenty of shade in the afternoon. Since the early sun isn't as harsh as afternoon sun, I place all my lettuces in this bed. They still get sun, but lettuces don't like excess heat, so this placement keeps them from wilting in Houston's sweltering summers. In the back of the space, back there, near that white brick wall, you'll notice it pretty much gets sun all day. I have a bed back there, and this is where I place my most heat-loving plants, like cucumbers, bell peppers, and okra. Number 2, Another way to track the sun is to use an app like the Sun Position and Path app, since it tracks each season for you. If you want to grow food year round, this app will definitely help. Now, don't forget to look for things like tall trees that will change with the season. For instance, this tree was full of branches a few weeks ago, but now the spring has arrived and summer will come. It will be creating a lot of shade for this patch of my garden. Number 3, choose a gardening method. Now that you know what you want to plant and how much sun you get and where that sun is, you can choose which method works best for you. If you have a lot of south-facing space available in your garden, consider yourself lucky. Pass go, collect $200, and give yourself a big old cookie while you're at it, because you have hit the jackpot. You can basically choose any of these methods. Now, if you're like me, and half your garden area is in the shade, don't lose hope. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now, there are tons of ways to garden, but to keep things brief, let's go over the 3 most common methods: container gardening, raised beds, and then row gardening. Let's go over each briefly. Container gardening is exactly what you probably already guessed: growing in containers. For beginner gardeners, this is exactly where I suggest you start. But this is also a great option if you have limited space or limited sun exposure. You can grow a surprisingly large amount of food in containers. It's less expensive than other methods, and you can easily move the containers around to follow the sun to get those 6+ hours you need. I use containers myself in my garden for plants that are invasive like mint, or for plants that have different nutrient or soil needs than the majority of all my other plants, like my strawberries. Here in Texas, we prefer raised beds because we have thick clay soil. Vegetable roots will fight an uphill battle trying to maneuver their way through that claustrophobic mess. It's like trying to breathe while someone is choking you. It's kind of hard. I have a back injury from my days in the military, so I prefer raised beds. Unfortunately, they're the most expensive of the 3 methods because not only do you have to buy or build the beds, but you have to fill those beds with lots of soil. If you build your own beds, make sure you use only materials that won't leach poisonous chemicals into your garden. I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat radioactive vegetables that glow in the dark. So, raised beds, good on the back, not so good on the old wallet, which leads us to our last method, row gardening. Unlike the first 2 methods, row gardening doesn't require the purchase of any containers or beds because you're growing right in the ground. Now, here in Houston, this method isn't impossible, but it's probably the least popular because of that whole choking clay soil I mentioned earlier, and also because we have hurricanes and problems with flooding. If we plant our vegetables in the ground and then we get flooded, well, then Easter has come early because the whole neighborhood will now be enjoying our carrot harvest. And speaking of water, that leads us to number 4. Now, everyone knows that plants need sun, nutrients, and water to grow. But there is nothing that's going to make you want to high five yourself right in the face than to go and build your raised beds, fill it all with soil, fill it with plants, and then afterwards realize that you needed to install a drip irrigation system because it's just too much to water by hand. Yikes. Now, in one of my larger beds that's tucked away out of sight, I have a drip irrigation system set up. It's fed by a rain collection barrel that's located nearby. For my other beds, I water by hand each morning with a large watering can. This method works for me because with the vegetables I grow, I have to harvest each morning. Since I'm already out there, I can handle both at the same time. It's my moment of zen each morning, just me and the chirping birds and my plants full of morning dew. I check their leaves, ask them how they slept, and see if there are any aphid enemies that need destroying. There is no right way or wrong way to water. It's just whatever way works for you. Number 5, invest in good soil. Now I save the best for last because this is where I made my huge rookie gardener mistake. I mean, it was a huge, monumental failure. I got all my research done. I figured out where my sun was at. I got my plants situated. And then I called a dirt company and had them deliver cubic yards of dirt. Stuck it on my bed, put the plants in, and just waited for the heavens to shine down on my perfect little garden. And everything germinated. Everything grew leaves, and then not one thing produced. Turns out that quality garden soil wasn't so quality after all. So, the plants went into the compost bin. I amended the soil with compost and nutrients, and I had to buy new starter plants since I was now several weeks into spring. But lesson learned. Even bad experiences are learning experiences, right? Good quality soil will make or break your success in gardening. An Olympic athlete has zero chance of winning the gold medal eating junk food, and your seeds have zero chance of growing in junky soil. Now, every day I collect all my food scraps along with yard clippings to create rich, organic compost that I add to my beds after each growing season to replenish essential nutrients. It has made a world of difference to my plants, and it doesn't cost me a penny. One final tip. Now that you've given your plants a great bed, protect it from the elements with a nice, thick, cozy blanket of mulch. Covering the exposed soil with organic material like dried leaves, wood chips, straw, etc., will help keep the weeds out, the moisture in, and keeps the roots protected from all the elements. Personally, I wish I could go back in a time machine because these 5 tips would really help me in my first year of gardening. And I hope that it gets you motivated to go out there and get growing. I really love that we're building this community of gardeners to share tips, ideas, and inspiration. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you again here at Anchorhead Farms.